Let's discuss source points and their relationship to San Jiao. The first acupuncture points cited in the inner classic are what we now call the source points. Discussed in the first lines of the divine pivot, source points have likely been used for nearly 2 millennia. A passage in chapter 66 of the Classic of Difficulties says that they can be used whenever there is disease in the yin and yang organs. While their application has been refined over the centuries, they are nevertheless still used in the treatment of wide variety of disease patterns. So for the lung, we have lung 9, a source point, spleen, spleen 3, heart 7, kidney 3, pericardium 7, liver 3, Li 4, stomach 42, Si 4, bladder 64, triple burner 4, and finally the gallbladder 40 for the gallbladder. Other chapters of the inner classic describe the relationship of the triple burner organ to source qi. The use of the same term to describe the type of qi associated with the triple burner, as well as the name for these important points on each of the 12 regular channels, is significant. This is highlighted in chapter 66 of the Classic of Difficulties, where a list of the 12 source points is followed by a description of the role of the triple burner. The text says that the source qi moving in the triple burner arises from the fire at the gate of vitality in the kidney, the Mingmen fire, and that the source points are associated in particular with this type of qi in the channels. Thus, the source points are related to the triple burner function of irrigating the channels with fire from the gate of vitality. In modern texts, one often reads that the source points connect with the triple burner and are used clinically to increase the circulation of source qi in the 12 channels. But how exactly does this happen? For example, how can a point like kidney 3 on the leg be related to the functions of a channel like the triple burner, which passes through the arm and to the 3 burners of the trunk? The first step in answering this question is to return to the concept of the triple burner organ. There, the triple burner was broadly defined to include the movement of fluids through empty spaces outside the vascular system, which is beyond the level of capillary circulation. These interstitial spaces are found throughout the body around muscles, joints, and bones. Therefore, the ability of source points to access source qi arises not from direct connections to the triple burner channel, but from the pervasive presence of the triple burner organ in the fluids that suffuse the connective tissues of the entire body. Each of the 12 channels represents a circuit of fluid movement along a definable course of muscles, nerves, and vessels that has a particular relationship to one or another of the internal organs. Therefore, when one thinks, for example, of the pathway of the spleen channel, it might be helpful to think of that channel as being part of the triple burner system that has a particular relationship to the spleen. Remember that the triple burner is described as an environment that surrounds the organs and other tissues of the body. The relationship of the acupuncture points to the triple burner is also described in chapter 66 of the Classic of Difficulties, where it says that the points of the 5 yin organs are places where the movements within the triple burner pause in their qi flow. As many texts point out, the source points are found around the wrist and ankle joint. As many texts point out, the source points are found around the wrist and ankle joints. The range of motion and the sheer frequency of movement in these small joints are among the greatest in the body. The movement of the ankles and the myriad fine motor adjustments of the wrist and hand coordinate the acts of walking, balancing, grasping, gesturing, and lifting. This requires a great deal of qi and blood. In modern physiology, these areas are described as having a high rate of cellular metabolism, hence the warmth of the hands and feet. When there is a lack of abundant qi and blood in the body, these areas are often the first to feel cold or exhibit obvious changes due to compromised circulation. The locations of the 12 source points are found in the heart of these areas of increased qi transformation. One might also note that the source points are located in areas very close to the most distal palpable pulse on each of the 12 regular channels. This is not an accident. It is precisely because of the heightened qi and blood circulation at these points that they have a particularly strong need for source qi. While movement of larger joints like the shoulder and hip may require higher volumes of qi and blood, there is a unique circulation around the wrists and ankles, which creates a particular environment that gives rise to the source points. So let's take a look at the location of the source points. Okay. The source points are actually located in areas where there is a high degree of precise motility in the human body, and these areas undergo a high turnover of qi and blood. So we have here the homunculus, which exaggerates those areas of the body where there is a higher degree of nerve and blood concentration. And many of the source points can be found at the borders of these more vascularized and innervated areas. Thank you for your attention.